Hello, and this is my review of the Smart #3. From the front at least, the #3 looks very similar to the smaller #1. Obviously the exterior around the back is completely different, they're very different shaped vehicles, but the front end design is very similar. Now, we've got a big light bar at the front here, which is quite nice and bright. Got the lights here that extend out and widen like an eye, which are, again, quite a nice design touch. And it does have a very simple design, really. This whole section is completely flat and quite smooth. Got the Smart badge at the front. And we've got this nice tapered grille section, which comes down to a little lip here. And you'll see that there's these small pill-shaped cutouts, which let air into the cooling system for the battery. But this pill shape is kind of nearly everywhere around the car. There's bits inside, the door handles are the same shape, and it's quite nice when car companies do that. It's a nice thread of a consistent design, even if it's something small that not many people might notice, and it does look quite nice. The grille itself is a nice shape, got the radar sensor here. We've also got a front-facing camera, which is very discreet and works quite well. Now, on new cars, the company likes to decorate the entire vehicle with their brand logo. Just makes sense. Now, on the #3, I haven't quite seen this many logos dotted around the entire car than this. Now, there's one on the bonnet, another one here on the front side, there's one here next to the headlights, another one on the door handles, there's one here on the back of the touchscreen, on the door sills, door mats. The seats also have these lovely metal studs all around the fabric, and if you get a bit closer in, these actually are little Smart logos. On the seat backs, behind the charging flap, on the seatbelt clasps, on the front lid, and underneath the front lid. On the boot, there's even two on the steering wheel, one down here and one in the centre. And then above your head, there's one in the speaker. There's another one in the rear lights. And also dotted around the windows on the Smart #3 are these tiny little fun drawings. There's one on the back window, on the rear glass, another one in the windscreen, and on the boot window. Prices in the UK start at £33,960, and that gets you the smaller battery on the entry-level Pro version. The one I've got here is the Pro Plus version, and that's £37,960. Thankfully, Smart don't charge any extra for different paint colours, which is quite a rare thing now in 2025. At the top of the tree is the Brabus version, and that comes in at £46,460, and for that you get all-wheel drive, much more power and a sort of more sporty feeling interior. There's also a premium version and a 25th anniversary edition, both of which have varying different styles and different alloy wheels. Now, in terms of dimensions, I've got the exact measurements on screen now, but it's very similar to the Kia Niro, the Toyota CHR, and also the Volvo ES40. Around the side, the #3 is very different to the #1. That smaller vehicle is a bit more upright, a bit more SUV focused, whereas this one is very much a coupe and quite style-led. This one has frameless windows as well, which adds a nice premium feel to the car. And we have very simple lines back here and quite a nice sloping roof. I do think it all works quite well together. These door handles, as you'll notice, are sort of flush and they do pop out when you open the doors. The front ones are sensor operated and these ones are manually operated only. All pretty good. For the batteries, Smart has gone with a 400-volt architecture, and there are two different battery options to choose from. On the Pro version, so the entry-level version, you can get a 49 kilowatt-hour battery pack, which is LFP, and offers 202 miles of range. That one will charge at 130 kilowatt or 7.4 at home. For the Pro Plus and every model above, like this one, you get a 66 kilowatt-hour battery pack, which is NMC or NCM, 150 kilowatt charging and 270 miles of range, and that range is actually really accurate. I've been getting 268 on this car, so I'm actually quite impressed. The premium and the 25th edition versions have 283 miles, mainly to do with the alloy options you do get. You do get a dual CCS2 socket located on the rear left of the vehicle, which is actually the correct side for Tesla V3 chargers, so you shouldn't have any problem on those older style chargers. There's actually 4 different alloy options to choose from on the #3, and they're actually preset and locked to whichever trim level you happen to choose. For example, on the Pro and this one, the Pro Plus, you can only go for these ones. These are 19 inches, they're diamond cut, and I think they look like Alfa Romeo wheels. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you want different sizes, you will have to go for a different trim level or potentially purchase ones aftermarket, maybe from a smart dealer. The interior on the Hashtag 3 is somewhat unusual. We have got this big floating centre console here, which is kind of like a Mercedes, which I guess makes sense. The steering wheel is a really nice shape, really nice and thin rim, got a flat bottom, feels lovely in the hand and really nice to use. You don't feel like it's too thick or too small, feels really, really good. Elsewhere, we have got these nice light materials on the dashboard here, and the Hashtag 3 comes in either black or this light grey and cream colour, and that weirdly does depend on whichever colour you go for on the outside. For example, if you go for the yellow one, which looks amazing, you will only be able to get the black interior, and if you go for the light green colour, like a mint green colour, you can only get this interior, which is really odd. So that does depend on which versions you can pick. We've got these two screens here. So this infotainment screen is a little bit awkwardly placed. It is blocking the view slightly, depending on how tall or short you are. And it is 12.8 inches. It's got support for wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, DAB radio. I can't demo this app during my time with this vehicle, but there is a Hello Smart app, which lets you see all the usual stuff, like where the car is, you can precondition it and stuff. And it's got this very nice sort of kid-friendly, sort of cartoon-like, drawn-like experience with it. It does work quite well. You'll also notice throughout this entire video that there's an animated fox on the display. And this is one thing that a lot of Chinese companies like to do. They like to add an animated avatar. It's very much ingrained in the Chinese culture to do that kind of thing. And it kind of makes sense. So we've got a little fox here who will yawn, stretch, play with the ball. You can double tap him.
What would you like me to find for you now?
What's the temperature like?
Currently, it is sunny in Pershore with a temperature of 21 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
Today it will be partly cloudy. How can I help?
There you go. You can sort of make him do stuff. It's quite funny. Yeah, this software works quite well. We are lacking some physical buttons for the climate control. It is all built into the screen. It would have been nice to see Smart implement the same sort of system as what the Audi TT 3rd Gen used to have, which is some controls in the dials, but that's not really what they've done. This screen here is 9.2 inches and it's quite wide and not very tall. I quite like that because regardless of where you put the wheel, so you can adjust the steering wheel here, up, down, in and out, regardless, you're not blocking any of the display here, which means you're not going to compromise the driving position for what you can see on the screen. This car can also be had with a heads-up display, but it's not fitted to this particular model, and to be honest, I haven't really missed it during my driving of this car this week. In this floating centre console, we've got these 3 air vents here, and we've got a trapdoor which hides 2 USB-C ports and a wireless phone charging pad. Behind this cover here, we've got 2 cup holders, and also a very thin slot, and that is for your mobile phone. So you can put your phone there if you're not using it to wirelessly charge, or your passenger could put their phone there as well. In this section here, there's something actually quite cool. Literally, we have a fridge. And you can turn this dial here and it will turn the fridge on and blow air in there. That is quite good for keeping things cool while on the road. There's also a slot there for like an EV charging card, like Electroverse, for example. All quite handy. Underneath this whole section here, we have a storage bin and then a 12-volt socket, which says is 120 watts. I mentioned earlier, we are missing some physical buttons, and that is true down here too. So we've got some controls here for the lights, very easy to use. You can open the boot as well. And then down here, we've got some controls for the windows. You can lock and unlock the doors. But notably, we are missing a physical button to control the mirrors. So it will either fold the mirrors in or adjust the mirror placement. And I can kind of see what the company's done. They've put a software version on this screen here, which is fine. It's like how Tesla do it as well. If you do think about it, it kind of makes sense. You set up driver profiles. Each person's got their own mode. And then you can select the tilt of the mirrors and the seat as well. So it's kind of fine, but it would be nice to see that, especially if people are renting this vehicle or driving it one-off. On the wheel here, I mentioned that this is a really nice design and nice thing to hold. And we have got some plastic buttons here. So on this side, they are for the climate control. And on the right-hand side, they are for the volume and the trip. And you can control what's ever displayed on this screen. All really easy to use. Lastly, we've got some stalks here. So on the right-hand side is your gears. So down for drive, middle for neutral, in for park, and then up for reverse. That's all very solid feeling. And then on this side, we have got the wipers, indicators, high beams, and the back rear wiper as well, which is one thing that Smart have added to this vehicle, which is a massive thumbs up for me. Down here we've got the glove box, push button to open, decent size, you can fit all manner of things in there, that's all quite good. Now these seats are exceptionally comfortable, they are cloth, you can get real leather ones on the higher spec versions, and they are electronically adjustable, so all fairly easy to use. Up here we have got the sun visors, which unfortunately do feel a tad cheap. They make a weird rattling sound when you close them, and they just feel a bit too light really. It would have been nice to have a bit more resistance on them, but that kind of is what it is really. We have got a mirror here with a built-in LED, so you can see yourself if you want to. Up here above your head you have got a sunglasses holder, which is felt lined, a microphone for the hands-free phone, 2 LED lights which you can press to turn on, and a sensor and an SOS button. All fairly good really. The back seats feel really light and airy. We've got a big panoramic sunroof, which comes as standard on the Hashtag 3, adds a lot of light into the back seats, makes it feel nice and light and not claustrophobic, and it just feels really good. This one being with the light interior, we've got some cream on this section here, and the grey cloth on that section as well, and some darker material here. Just feels really, really good and premium. There's also some lighter material on this section here and some silver trim, just like the front seats as well. Got some air vents down here, got a USB-C port and an USB-A port for charging devices, got some phone storage, got some pockets in the back of the seats for maps and different things, and we've got a completely flat floor. Now the Hashtag 3 is a bespoke EV, so that's why we do have that really flat floor, but this carpet that Smart have fitted does seem to have ruckled up somewhat. It is a nice soft carpet, does feel quite good, but it doesn't sit quite flush as you'd expect it to, which is a bit odd. These seats are quite slim, they're almost bucket seats, so it's all in one design. We've got the Smart logos on the back, and we've also got this pill-shaped pass-through, which I mentioned earlier, and they don't seem to block much visibility at all. As I said, the amount of glass in here does provide a nice open experience, but you're not losing a lot of visibility from these chunky seats at all, which is quite good. Now we have got a fold-down armrest with 2 decent-sized cup holders, and they feel like they'd hold the largest of cups really, and this armrest does feel quite solid. There's also ISOFIX connectors in the back seats, which should make family life that little bit easier. Now I really love the design of the Hashtag 3. I think the company's done a great job in terms of the whole design of it, and just looks really, really good. Now unfortunately, the rear design is ever so slightly generic really, in my opinion. The light bar here just looks like it could be on anything really. It is an LED light bar as standard, which is good to see, so it's all quite nice, and that's on every version of the Hashtag 3. We've got this little shelf here, we've got a rear wiper as standard on this car, and this one has a clear glass rear windscreen. Other versions do have a tinted one. Got the Smart badge down here, got the Hashtag 3 branding, and a rear reversing camera, and some parking sensors, and some black plastic trim and other bits and pieces. Now the very weird thing about this car, you won't know this unless you own the car, and it isn't like a Volkswagen where everyone seems to know that you tilt the badge and that opens the boot. This one's got a very strange way of opening the boot. Now I figured this out just by trial and error, and it wasn't one of those things I've really had time to Google, but this button here in the A, well, it's a button, so you can press that in, and that opens a boot. Who knew? Doesn't even look like a button. Mental. In here we've got 360 litres of boot space. Got this low cover here, which is quite good. I've got a parcel shelf, and we've got a decent amount of space underneath this false cover here. And this car does come with some quite unique Smart branded Type 2 charging cables. I love the design of those, they look great. Really, really good. No real big wheel arches here. Got some hooks here and a small light, some bits of netting either side to store something that you don't want to move around. And yeah, really, really good amount of space. If you fold these seats down, that reveals 1,160 litres. And you can see here I've got a really good amount of space. Doesn't fold completely flat, but that does reveal a usable amount of space for things like pushchairs or IKEA. I think that's pretty good. So, what's the Hashtag 3 like to drive? Well, I'm actually quite impressed. In my testing this week, I've done about 200 and something miles, and it's been fairly fine. The only thing I've really got to complain about is the slightly crashy ride on less than ideal surfaces. A lot of modern cars now have a lot of these safety systems built in, and the hashtag 3's got a lot of them, and again, a lot of them come on by default every time you start the car, and this car is no different. Some of them can be a little bit annoying, so on B roads like this one, or back roads where there aren't many white lines and you do have to get over on your side of the road if there is something coming, it doesn't seem to be very happy about that. So if you are getting quite close to the left hand side of the road, it does seem to activate its emergency lane assist mode. But if it is annoying you, you can go in the software and turn it off relatively easily. You do just have to go through a whole rigmarole of turning everything off every time you get in the car. Same goes to the speed limit assist as well. So it is relatively sensitive. So if you do enter a speed zone 1 mile an hour over the speed limit, it will have a bit of a complaining time and go do a sort of annoying sound there. But again, it's nothing really out of the ordinary. A lot of cars do it, and that's more the state of the car industry as a whole, really, than just this car. Some car companies do it a lot better than others. So, for example, Kia, they allow a one-touch button to turn everything off in one go, whereas other cars don't. So there is that to contend with as well. Performance is pretty decent. We've got 272 brake horsepower going to the rear wheels only. If you want an all-wheel drive version, you can go for the Brabus version, which is the most powerful and most expensive version of the hashtag 3. This one does 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds and can do a respectable top speed of about 112 miles per hour. I don't think you need anything more than that, really. That Brabus version I mentioned has got 377 horsepower and can do 0 to 60 in supercar fast 3.7 seconds, which is totally bananas, to be fair. Just absolutely crazy. Efficiency is also pretty good. Smart themselves quote 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour, and in my testing I've been getting nearly 4 miles per kilowatt hour at 3.98, and I haven't really been trying that hard to get the best out of this vehicle. I've just been driving it normally as I would any vehicle that I drive. I'm actually quite impressed with the efficiency really on this car. Does seem pretty good. Now, one of the very weird things on the hashtag 3 is the one pedal driving setup that the company has implemented. It's called S pedal, and it isn't the most refined of systems I've found. They just work relatively well. I have got a really decent amount of regen performance out of it, and in 90% of circumstances I think it works fine. However, it's in those sort of one-off situations where you try and move the car quite slowly, either in a car park or just adjust the car slightly. It just doesn't quite operate as smoothly as other systems like in the Kia EV3, for example. It definitely could be a bit better in terms of its implementation. It just means that, I don't know, it's slightly jerky in terms of how you move the car around, for example. Now, in a lot of these coupe crossovers, the visibility can be one of those things that gets forgotten about. They tend to have a form of a function sort of design, really, as far as it seems. And visibility isn't always one of those things that is that good, really. Now, in the hashtag 3, I'm pleased to report that the visibility is really, really decent. I've got a really decent sized rear window with actually a rear wiper, which is fantastic to see. And the mirrors are a decent size, and the A-pillars themselves aren't too big. So that all results in a car that you can actually see out of properly, which is strange to say, but it is quite relevant. So overall, what do I think of the Smart hashtag 3? Well, I think the design is one of the things which is really high up on the list for me. Smart have always been quite a funky design company that had been quite design-led, and I think that same ethos has been continued with the hashtag 3, even though that it's now half owned by Geely. I think that they've still managed to retain some of that Smart magic in the hashtag 3. I really like how this car drives as well, but the only sticking point for me is the warning systems need calibrating for UK roads. It seems to be something that Chinese manufacturers get wrong in the first few years of being here. Just look at what GWM did with the Aura. It's only taken up until the most recent version, the GT, to get it to behave properly on UK roads. And I think that with some software updates, I think that they could be onto a winner, really. But I'd love to know what you think in the comments down below. My name's Alex. Please subscribe to Interface Cars, and I'll see you again next time.